everyone, and welcome to Only in Santa Clara County. We are a sister project of Only in San Jose, a civic education podcast series dedicated to demystifying and democratizing the process of local government and civic participation in Santa Clara County. My name is Ellina Yin, and I will be your host. Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome back to our final episode. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us on this civics quest of understanding how local government works, on understanding how your county government works, and how we can all get more involved. So, this last episode of season one, which is really kickstarting our County Government 101. So, this first season was really about setting up the basic foundations and building an understanding of the role of the county government and how it works and how we can work with it. So, in this last episode, we're going to be tying it all together with cities and counties and what they can do together. And so, just to quickly recap, we're going to just go over the basics of, what is local government? So, local government exists in three parts. There's cities, towns, townships, that's one part. Counties, and counties are the administrative arm of the state, varying by place, but our county, operates the courts, public health, hospitals, sheriff, jails, etc. So that's part two. And the last part is our special districts. So when you think of special districts, think of fire, water districts, school districts. There's even a cemetery districts. There are a lot of special districts. And all together, they count as local government. So in 2022, the US had 90,837 local government units. And local government is where everything physically takes shape and form and happens. And what I mean by that is, say the federal government is creating a law, the direction and implementation of that law flows to the state. So let's say California. In our state capital, where the state powers take shape and form and physically exist, is in Sacramento. They then take that directive and send it to all the cities and counties, and it's our cities and counties that implement it. Unless, it's if it's like education, for example, then that would go to a special district, which would be a school district, and it would be them that implement it. However, it's not just, elected officials as well that comes up with these ideas, these policies, these laws. We've all learned in previous episodes, like within each local government unit, there are a number of boards, commissions, committees, and task force, etc. And it's in these spaces that every resident can come together to work alongside city staff, experts, and elected officials to tackle very specific problems facing their community. And it's not just applying and being appointed to being on one of these boards, commissions, or committees, but also just attending as a regular resident. Most of these meetings are, all of these meetings, I'm sorry, all of these meetings are public. So, local government plus us, the people, we are the implementers of democracy, the essential workers, if you will, of our democracy, making it both also our first and last line of defense for our communities. And it is incredibly important for us, the people, to not only know this, but to understand it so that we can wield it in our favor. Because if we don't have everyday, ordinary people with diverse lived experiences doing it, trust me, someone has been this entire time. The most active participants that I come across are lawyers and lobbyists for corporations, corporate representatives, real estate folks, landlords, homeowners associations, aspiring politicians, and really only ever a handful of regular people, people with the lived reality that are going to live the reality of these policy decisions. Only ever a handful. And also community based organizations and nonprofits. So they also participate in the process. And usually they are advocating and helping to organize people to participate in this process. Power to that. Okay. So I started this season with this quote, and I also want to end it with this quote. And this is my favorite government code from the Brown Act. It's California Code Section 54950. It states, in enacting this chapter, the legislature finds and declares that the public commissions, boards, and councils and other public agencies, which is all of the local government agencies that I listed prior, in this state exists to aid in the conduct of the people's business. It is the intent of the law that their actions be taken openly and that their deliberations be conducted openly. The people of this state do not yield their sovereignty to the agencies which serve them. The people, in delegating authority, and the authority part is like, by consent of the governed, so constitution, state constitution, or city charters, do not give their public servants the right to decide what is good for the people to know and what is not good for them to know. The people insist on remaining informed so that they may retain control over the instruments that they have created, that instrument being government. And that's the whole core value and principle of the Only in Santa Clara County podcast, the Only in San Jose podcast, my nonprofit. It's really to equip people with this knowledge that that is not very well taught in K through 12 or even public universities in this level. You'll find no shortage of content and information about the federal government and the state, but unfortunately, very little on local government. And so that's why we exist, is to fill that gap. Okay, so now for our final interview, back to our guest host for this season, Supervisor Betty Young. Now, prior to her current elected position, Betty served as the campaign manager for Measure A. She also has over a decade of experience working at the County of Santa Clara. She started as the budget and policy director for the Office of Supervisor Cindy Chavez. She then went on to become employee number one for the manager of the newly formed Office Labor Standards Enforcement in 2017. She was also the lead public information officer in COVID-19 times, pandemic times. And as of the most recent 2024 elections, Betty is now an elected member of the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors, representing District 2, making history as the first Vietnamese American woman elected to the county. And this interview, again, was recorded in February of 2024 as a public service and was not part of her campaign. All right, enjoy the interview. Any last thoughts on how county and cities work together?
I would say that for those who are following the relationship with the city and the county, I would say sometimes it feels like an ongoing saga. Sometimes it feels like
it's a marriage.
Yeah, it's a marriage. It definitely is. It's a very long, complicated, and at times tumultuous marriage. Mm-hmm. This was certainly before my time, but when I started working at the county there, and we started working on some key policy partnerships between the county and the city, mm-hmm. there was always what I sense to be this background of conflict, mm-hmm. or of divide between the city and the county, mm-hmm. for various reasons. Mm-hmm. The redevelopment agency, the dissolution of redevelopment, other types of important issues and matters where the city and the county has found itself on opposite ends of it. Mm-hmm. But really for me, COVID-19 and the joint response there, mm-hmm. and the collaboration, mm-hmm. Really has defined like this new era of partnership. Mm-hmm. And I really want to call that out and appreciate our city staff and our county staff for cultivating and building that bridge to be able to achieve like the best outcomes for our residents. Mm-hmm. I think the last thing I would say in terms of like the relationship between the county and cities is that there is no statutory limitation to what we can do together, mm-hmm. right? We have county charter, we have rules, mm-hmm. we have rules of engagement, defined functions. But the thing is that there is nothing in either the city of the charter or the county charter that says you two shall not work together on these issues. Mm-hmm. And I think for a county such as ours, where half of the county is the city of San Jose, mm-hmm. that partnership is so important.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I also always want to applaud staff, mm-hmm. of county and city, because it's a lot of hard, sometimes can be thankless, mm-hmm. because you're not an elected official, no one sees you. Yeah. And sometimes your identity is absorbed behind these elected officials. Mm-hmm. But there is a whole
bunch of people that are working to realize this document.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been so lucky to be a part of such great collaboration during the county's time of greatest need, and the world's time of greatest need. And so I look forward to to further exploring what those partnerships can look like.
Why do you feel it's important for people to civically participate? In this level of like the podcast that we're talking about going to committees and going to commissions, but true engagement and civic engagement, why is it important to you, and why do you encourage people to specifically get involved in the county level?
I'm going to say that this kind of like just organically loops back to the first thing we talked about at the top of the hour, right? The difference between politics and government, politics and policy. And I would say this is probably the primary way of guaranteeing that policy and governance stays for the people with the people, if it's ran by the people. If you are participating in commissions, if you're participating in at the board meetings, at the council meetings, if you are engaging your neighbors, if you are engaging your local elected offices and participating and following along and being part of the conversation, right? This process, just by that involvement alone, guarantees and safeguards this governance process as belonging to the people. And the more voices that we have, the more community voices that we have, the more authentic the mission, the more authentic and profound, right?
Yeah.
And sincere is the county's budget, the county's policies, the county's charters, because it's being built in part by you.
That is great. That's such a great answer. And I also like to point out that it doesn't always look like the Parks and Recs, the TV show, but when people do come together, like beautiful things are created as the various things that we discussed it. And so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, team.
Yeah, thank you, team. Thank you, audience. Thank you, viewers. It was, I think, it's a pretty long podcast. A lot of wonky, lot of details. If you'd like to dive deep into county governance with
press pause. Take a break.
I'm always open for this. This is what I eat, live, and breathe every single day. I'm excited about it, and it's really because of the optimism and the hope and based on what we've been able to accomplish together. More to come.
Thank you so much. Yes, more to come. All right. We're good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Awesome.
I didn't give you guys a break. Thank you.
Sorry, guys. That was a lot of talking. Are you guys still awake?
Alrighty, folks, and that is a wrap for this season. Special thanks to the team at Create TV. The interview with Betty Young was recorded at Open San Jose, a wonderful, wonderful community media center, art space, community space. It's located on South 2nd Street in downtown San Jose, right next to the San Jose Improv if you want to check them out. Okay, if you enjoyed this series and you want more, please consider making a donation, hitting that like, that follow button, leave us a comment. What do you want next? And check out our other podcasts, Only in San Jose, if you want to dive more into city government. Alrighty, folks, until next time.